Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. On today's episode, we have a special guest, someone I'm genuinely excited to speak with. He's a retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel, a speaker, a coach, an author, and the co-founder of Our Protector Development, a leadership and personal growth platform that helps people build resilience, live with purpose, and lead with integrity, drawing from real-life experience, faith, and discipline. His journey spans military leadership, personal struggle, recovery, faith, and now is helping others heal, grow, and work with purpose. Welcome to this episode, Ryan Reichert. Welcome to my podcast, and can we get to know you more?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Greatly appreciate your platform. Without that, I'm not able to be here. So thank you so much.
So, can you tell us more about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan T. Reichert. Before we started, basically, from Minneapolis, Minnesota today, but I grew up in a small town called Hoople, North Dakota. It's Tatertown, USA to me. So basically, potato farming and so forth. Very small, about 350 people when I was growing up there many decades ago. So I was in the Army for 23 years and retired as Lieutenant Colonel. I was in the infantry, so deployed to Afghanistan, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia, about 4 years in total, I think. And then I retired in 2022, joining the ranks of corporate America here in the United States. And after about 2.5 years, while I was going through some struggles, I'm a recovering alcoholic and prescription drug addict. I ended up losing that Fortune 500 job. I was going through a divorce. And in that valley, I found myself finding Jesus Christ. And today I've started, co-founding Our Protector Development. Just like you said, it's a leadership and overall coaching program for others. We have courses and books and so on and so forth. We also offer writing support if anybody out there wants to write their own book. I know lots of people do, so we have the ways to do it. So far, we'll publish our fourth book coming up next month after the TEDx Duluth talk that we have. So super excited, grateful to be here. Thank you.
Okay, I'm also excited for you, for your book. So, can you walk me through your journey of when you were in the army and where you are now? What was the transition like for you? And when did you realize that you've changed from who you used to be?
Yeah, that's someone, it takes a lot of reflection knowing that today I'm completely different. It's one where I still struggle with certain fears, even coming on as a professional speaker. Anytime I speak, there's still a fear there that what's supposed to come out comes out. So in the military, after 23 years, it was just time to move on. And what I thought was going to be the solving all problems was, a Fortune 500 job with the title and the money and everything else. The only problem was it didn't make me happy. It didn't fill the hole that I've had for many, many years in my life. And that was understanding that to be a true follower, I had to find my faith. And through that faith, there was hope. And now there's love to love myself. And then I can actually love others today. I don't think I was able to do that before. I think I stuffed all my feelings and emotions down, or if those emotions came out, it was rage and anger and being upset. And it was just really, for me, not really understanding myself. In the military, it was one where, you could go out and train and get deployed all over the world. I got to blow stuff up and jump out of airplanes and everything else. So it's these dynamics that once I retired, none of that existed anymore. It was almost this transition of not knowing who I was looking at in the mirror every single day. And I was just lost. Unfortunately, I was 45 years old at the time. This is a couple of years ago. And I had to basically be reborn. I had to strip myself down to nothing and start over. 2 years later, still in the process, I'm still learning how this goes. And so it's very interesting knowing your audience and understanding, say, 25 years ago, where was I? I was in college. I joined the Army. And then probably around 24 years old, I think, was my first deployment to Afghanistan, and really realizing that this is what I wanted to do for a really long time. And it was something as a little boy I did, playing G.I. Joe in the front yard of my best friend's house. So for those who are in their 20s right now, you have plenty of time to figure it all out and reinvent yourself over and over and over again, just like I have today. I guess I was 12 years old. I still remember it in school filling out like a 3x5 card. What do you want to be when you grow up? And it was a firefighter or a professional football player. And in the end, my first true profession was an infantry officer in the United States Army. That's kind of in between being a firefighter and a professional football player. So it always looks different than you think it will be. I thought I'd be in corporate America for 15, 20 years and retire and maybe just hang out on the lake fishing every day, knowing that that lasted, call it 3 years before I've really found myself in entrepreneurship as a professional speaker, an author, and a coach. So those are the things that we just continue to evolve through each and everything. Is it scary? Entrepreneurship is probably the scariest thing I've ever done. But every day is super cool because it's something new. And then once you get excited about that new thing that you learn, you want to get really good at it. And that's what it is. I think every book that we end up writing, it gets a little bit better than the last one. And so that's what life's all about. It's all about the journey and not the destination.
That sounds amazing. And what stood out for me was when you said we could always figure out ourselves. We have all the time to figure out whatever we want to do with ourselves. So I'd like to ask, was there a particular incident in your life that made you actually decide to, change how you've always been? Did anything particularly happen to you, or any incidents at all that made you decide, okay, I have to change and, become better?
Yeah, I pretty much destroyed everything in the life I thought I always wanted. You know, I was not the husband or father I should have been. I was very destructive in my alcoholism and my prescription drug abuse. I don't think I really took on my responsibility. I might have done a good job when I was around, being there to be the father, to show your children how to ride their bike or play in the playground, or never kind of be that Peter Pan that never grew up, being the fun one as dad. But I don't think I really took a step back and reflected how are my actions impacting my family. And today, when I look at it, I have an amazing relationship with my daughters are 18 and soon to be 20. So they're young women and they're doing amazing things out in the world. But it's one where when I really, really look at it, the times I was gone a lot in their life, being deployed and training and so forth. But
Okay,
how did I
so I
really
was going
show
to.
up? And I think about that today when it comes to how do I want to show up for the rest of my life? And so it's just knowing that after I retired, I had a few years of destructive behavior and how I carried myself. And today it's just knowing that, every day you can improve yourself from where you once were, and not to focus on the past and not to look too far into the future, just really be present today. And that's the one thing that I really take home is understanding today is what I can focus on. And that's the understanding of becoming better today, knowing what I've learned over the last 47 years or so.
So for young people who feel overwhelmed, stuck, or even, they feel ashamed of, especially when it comes to addiction, some certain addictions make people feel ashamed. So what advice do you have for them, and what do you need them to understand about this phase of life?
Yeah. Kind of like I just described, you can't change yesterday and tomorrow isn't here yet. So you really have to be present right now and can control what you can control. Accept that you can't control what already's happened and you can't control what will happen in the future. But all you can do is be present and focus on today. I call it your 3 daily wins. My first book, actually, I have it here. God Only Knows When the Devil Comes to You, a Second Chance at Life. And those 3 daily wins that you can control are your physical win, your mental win, and your spiritual win. So for me, I lock that in between 5 and 9 every morning. I go to the gym, I work out, I read my Bible, I read other books, and then I meditate on it. And so before I start my work day, I've already won everything I need to for the day. So whatever happens from 9 to 5, it just happens. Granted, you have meetings, you have certain tasks you need to accomplish in your day, but I've already won the day, and that's before 9 o'clock even happens. So that's something really to focus on, I'd say, in your entire life. The military made that very simple for me, knowing that every morning we'd have a meeting, we'd go salute the flag, we'd work out together, and then we'd start our day. Very similar. I didn't have that when I left the military, and so it wasn't a focus for me. So it was always just like sleep in, go to work. I probably was sleeping in because I was hungover. Go to work, do something fun, go to bed and repeat every single day. But I didn't focus on what was going to be truly important or what made me better. And that's the amazing standpoint of it. When you work out every day, the endorphins that you get, that real medicine, the drug that's actually inside of you that comes out, those dynamics are just it's medicine. It's truly medicine at the end of the day. And so when I think of being overwhelmed, and I suffered from anxiety, I still suffer from anxiety at times. If I don't stick to that daily routine, I can find myself overthinking, getting ahead of myself, worrying about next month's bills. Everything's paid for today. I shouldn't be worrying about, 30 days from now, and so on and so forth. And that's the dynamic of just really being present in the present moment.
When you spoke about worry, I don't know if I'm in the best position to say this, but someone always says that you don't beat yourself up about what you cannot control. And also, if like someone I look up to also said, why worry when you can pray? Right? So instead of
Absolutely.
worrying, why don't we just pray?
It's
So
it's
we're going
that
to go
dynamic,
through.
right?
Yeah.
Both things we can't see, right? So I always say
Exactly.
I teach focus, which is faith, opportunity, consistency, unconditional kindness, and the standard. And basically, it's always faith over fear. You can't see either of them, just like you said. So why worry when you can pray? Have that faith.
Okay.
You know, it's amazing.
It's amazing. So I love God so much. I liked the whole idea of faith. And that's why I am happy that you're here today to, talk to my guests. So I would like to say, how has faith changed the way you understand purpose, especially after experiencing both success and failure? What major part has faith played in your life?
Yeah, I think the dynamics in it today is my faith journey. It's where you're never alone, just like you're saying, having the ability to pray over it. And I know Jesus Christ is right there next to me. He's already gone forward and blazed the trail in such a way. It doesn't mean that things are going to be perfect, right? Perfect is one of those that it's not ever going to happen. It's not going to happen the way you believe it is. It's going to be so much better. It's going to be so much bigger. And all those dynamics is if you're having to wait for something, just know that it's going to be so good. I think of that all the time when I look back and thought it was me really like, oh, I'm so wonderful. I'm a great leader. All these things. Look at, I made that happen. And it's like, no, you didn't. You can't have all of these things figured out in such a way that it'd work out like this. And so that's what we really need to do is take that step back and reflect on where are we getting in our own way, our own success and ability through faith is knowing that you can take that step back and reflect, pray, let that worry go and know that everything will be just fine. I think of it all the time. I mean, I have many days in business where you think a deal is going to come through and it doesn't. But then like maybe a month later, something so much bigger, so much better happens. And you're like, oh, I could have never seen that. And that happened in that way because when you're so close to the problem, that's all you see. And so you need to take a step back. Sometimes you have to ask for help. And that's all praying is asking for help. And the next thing you know, somebody shows up. And it's just, I think today when I really reflect on my journey, it's where you grow in such a way that you actually become emotionally mature and you listen to people. You don't have so much to say anymore because you actually really care what other people have to say, because in that you can feel them and go like, well, maybe I need to help them here, or maybe I know somebody that could help them. And those are the dynamics of when we actually keep this thing shut and open up these two things, we can, see through listening what others may need from us, those gifts that we have, that true purpose that we're here for. And it's to love our neighbors.
Exactly. To love our neighbors. That sounds amazing. So I was going to say, do you think faith is something we find or it's something we build over time?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think it's both. For me, the dynamics of did I find Jesus or did Jesus find me kind of thing. And it was one where I always look at it as the standpoint. It's like him sitting at a bus stop going like, I can't wait till this bus finally arrives and drops Ryan off here so he can see me sitting here and we can have a conversation. And it took a long time to come to that. I mean, I grew up Catholic. I married a Lutheran. Both our girls were baptized, did First Holy Communion. One finished being confirmed, the other one still working on it. Those dynamics, right, of like the check marks of check, 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 check. We're all checking off the boxes. And I wouldn't say until today, really reflecting on it for myself in my journey, where, I want to walk in that light. Yesterday, my oldest daughter, she had reached out a few days back. She's like, can I go to church with you on Sunday? Because she's back from college. And I was like, can you? Please. Absolutely.
Mhm.
1000%. You don't know how much that means to share a Sunday morning, a Sunday afternoon together doing that. That's something I never in my wildest dreams would ever thought would be what it is today. And I so look forward to that. I teach Wednesday nights, sixth graders last year, seventh graders this year at church, and know like in each of our own ministries, where are we giving back? And it's not so much where are we giving back. It's like, does my cup get filled up another night of the week or another day of the week? And I was talking to one of the youth pastors yesterday, and that's that dynamic. We've been out of session for like 3 weeks with it being the winter break. And I feel a little empty because I get way more out of that going than I give. And granted, that's that weird dynamic of like, where are we pouring and where are we being poured into? And I think that for a lot of us is how much we are willing to sacrifice and give away, because you get so much more back.
Okay. So, my podcast is for people in their 20s. So, what advice would you actually give to someone in their 20s that you think would be beneficial to them, especially for those ones that feel stuck or are battling addiction?
Yeah, it's really hard when I look back at all the times that I had those tap on the shoulder moments, being arrested, getting into trouble, whatever it looks like. And it happened, I started, getting into alcohol when I was only 12 years old and got in trouble at 16, at 18, 20, shoot, 2.5 years ago. So 45, 44, 45, getting in trouble again with the law. All these things, knowing that when you're 20, whatever's already happened to you doesn't define you. You got a long runway. So ask for help. Buy yourself a Bible. Read it. Find your best friend, Jesus Christ. The Father is always out there looking after you. You might not be able to see it because you're really tied up in something. A lot of things have happened to you. But just don't quit. Keep asking for help. Keep helping others out. That love thy neighbor part is one where we really have to look at each other and know that we're all here together to help.
Any advice you'd give to anyone who is also, struggling and they are young? So what would you advise them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the big one is just know that your past doesn't define you. Like, you can completely reinvent yourself right now today. Make the choice to ask for help, to get help. And then once you're in a place like to help others, like that's where you'll really start to find yourself. When you start to heal, you can give back and you can be of service. You understand that through perseverance, through never quitting, never giving up. I think of Rocky Balboa all the time, Sylvester Stallone's character in all the Rocky movies, and knowing that you might get knocked down and you might not want to get back up, but you got to get back up. You got to keep trying. And that's the thing of it. You have friends, family, loved ones that want to see you get better. And it's hard. I get it. That shame, that guilt, the blame that you put on yourself. You have to really realize that it's okay. We're all going to make mistakes. I've made so many mistakes in my life, and some you carry with you a long time. You got to let go of them. You got to stop carrying those heavy rocks, those burdens, and forgive yourself. You got to love yourself, and you got to love others.
So basically, your mistakes doesn't define you, right?
No, it doesn't define you at all. It strengthens you. It gives you that, those scars, that pain that you carried, all that stuff. It gives you strength. And that's the thing of it. You're just becoming stronger. So you can take on more down the road. You're being built in such a way to take on leadership roles, or to be a mother, a wife, a husband, a father, a brother, whatever it is that going to take on down the road. This is just part of the trials and tribulations of it, the training of it, basically going to school to be whoever you're supposed to become. It's hard. I mean, it's really, really hard. When I reflect on it today and go, wow, didn't think I needed this many lumps to get where I'm at today. But knowing that whatever's to come is so much greater. It's so much bigger. And who wants an easy life? What does that look like? To have easy. I think of that all the time when I'm like writing the next book and I have an editor telling me like, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You got to rewrite all of this, like, because I asked 2 other people to read it and it makes sense in your mind, but we need more, or it needs to be rewritten. And you're like, that's it. I'm done. I don't want to write anymore. And just think about it. That one book, that next one you write, if it saves somebody's life or someone becomes X because of it, like, wow. So it's the same when it comes out there. If you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, knowing that this is more for the 20-year-old crowd, you're going to be okay. You're just going through a season of hard, going through maybe a season of change. And maybe you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, whatever it looks like, some title under the sun, an entrepreneur, if you're starting your own business, it's going to be hard. And so guess what? The reward will be well worth it whenever that reward comes. So put the work in every single day to get better. And if you stumble and you say you fail, it's okay. Like, you are forgiven. I forgive you, but moreover, you need to forgive yourself.
I feel like you just spoke to me directly. I feel really moved by what you said, and wow, I really feel moved, and I really hope this message will go out to people who really need to hear this, because I can relate it to my personal life, the struggles, and knowing that it's going to be better. And coming from someone who has also faced, struggles, it heals my mind. Do you get me? So I would like to ask, is there a particular thing you've not really been asked on any podcast before that you really want to share? Is there a question you've not been asked before, or anything at all you want to talk about that you've not really spoken about?
I mean, that's one you like stump me kind of thing. For myself, I'm trying to think of something they've never asked. Because for me, I'm one where it's like, ask me anything and I can answer it. But for me to come up with something on my own, it's almost like a stump. Yeah, I'm like,
Mm-hmm. What do you
I guess
want to
for
talk
myself,
about?
I just think of myself as we shoot this. It's 2026 now. We're 5 days into the new year, and for someone like myself, I find myself at times I set the bar really, really high when it comes to everything I do. And like you mentioned, you have failure in there as well. And so giving yourself grace to get back up, that in it all is the understanding of what does it take to get back up? And then while you're getting back up, still being able to give yourself that grace. And if you need to rest, if you need to pause, maybe it's not happening as fast as you believed it should, or you believe you need to work harder so you can get it faster. And just realize that all in time it will come. And that's something that I have to tell myself every single day, is just put in the work. If you don't know what's supposed to come next, just do the next right best thing. And for me, always, it goes back to physical fitness, mental fitness, spiritual fitness. So like I said, if I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing right now, it's like, did I go to the gym? Yes, I did. Check. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Did I read something today that could improve or build my knowledge? Well, you know what? I did this and this, but I did buy that new book that's been sitting on the counter for like 2 weeks and I haven't even opened it yet. There we go. Maybe we should do that. And just how you started things off early on. The third one, from a spiritual perspective, have I prayed over it? Have I asked God for, help, or to have the strength to continue to persevere, or whatever that looks like? And I always find out in the end, if you just do something, I always look at it this way. You got a sink full of dishes and you're like, that's overwhelming. Well, just clean one dish and see what happens. Just do one thing. And the next thing you know, you do another thing. You do another thing. So that momentum needs to just start. So I think of business all the time. It's Monday morning for me here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I haven't made a phone call since Friday. Well, it's one of those things. Make a phone call, get that momentum going, have those lists that you need to accomplish tasks, therefore, so you can get things going in your life, whatever it looks like. Just start.
Okay. Thank you so much. So the goal is just start, right? Just start. And you also spoke about, if you're very unsure of what to do, if you are unsure of what to do, just work on your physical, mental, and spiritual health. Just work on it. So that sounds amazing. So I'd like to ask you, what does success mean to you?
That's a double-edged sword. It's one of those dynamics where today I was given another day and I've done everything that I needed to do today already. I went to the gym, got on the treadmill for a few miles, worked on legs, worked on back. So I got my physical win in. Came back, I read my Bible, and then I prayed, meditated. So I got my mental and spiritual wins in, all and physical. So all three of them are done. So that's a success, right? But then I have my professional success. So then we layer that on top of it all, and that looks different. I tie financial pieces to that, maybe property or whatever. There's so many different things. So when I strip that away and table that to the side, I think about, where is my journey today with my children, and so on and so forth, and partner in this world and everything else. And if I had a meaningful conversation with them in the last week, Have we at least, touched base one way, shape, or form, whatever that looks like? Have we broken bread together? Have we gone to church together, which is, like I said, one of the ultimates today? So that happens actually quite regularly. Basically every month, it seems like we've been able to go to church with each of the girls. And then those friendships that I have where you continue to have those conversations. I would say today, success is it's really focusing on myself to make sure that my mental and physical well-being are intact, because then I can show up to be the best father, partner, professional, coach, so on and so forth. Those are those dynamics. And I think that's for all of us that we have to do. So what success looks like today is quite different than it did before, because it was all about titles and financially how well I was doing professionally. And the rest of it, I just figured was kind of on autopilot. And today I'm very much more cognizant that nothing's on autopilot. If it is on autopilot, it's probably going to crash sooner or later. And that's where you really need to look at where are you putting in the steps, where are you putting in the work, and everything that you want in life. And to be at a level of success, you have to put that work in. It doesn't come automatically. And I think that's what it's all about. The dynamics of living a life to be able to work to get what you want. And it's not just about financial or having a house or whatever that looks like, driving a car that you want. It's not these materialistic things. It's more so that spiritual connection you have with other human beings that really connect the dots, that fellowship, and so on and so forth. And that today is where I really feel success lands.
This has been a really powerful, insightful, and wonderful session we had. And I'd like to say, is there any place, do you have a social media handle or where we can get your book? Something you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. No, well, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, Ryan T. Reichert, you should be able to find me anywhere under the sun out there. Website wise, ourprotectordevelopment.com is kind of the hub where you can go and it'll take you to all the books, the online courses, podcast. Kind of always leave that one out. It's Our Healer, Our Protector with Lisa Sander and Ryan Reichert. So podcast you can find anywhere out there where you get your podcasts. And yeah, just thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here too. So thank you so much for tuning into Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked anything in you, make sure to share to someone who you think might need this, and also subscribe so you don't miss out on new episodes. Thank you, Mr. Ryan.